Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah wa kafa wa salamun ala ibadihi alladhina istafa amma ba'd. يقول الله تبارك وتعالى في كلامه المجيد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وقال الرسول يا رب إن قوم اتخذوا هذا القرآن مهجورا رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وبارك وسلم. My dear respected brothers, in this month of the Quran, شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن, the month in which the Quran was revealed, it is time for us to reflect that what are the rights of the Quran? What are the rights? If we have the Quran written with thread of gold, and it has been done, where the whole Quran from cover to cover has been written with gold, with ink of gold, a thread of gold. Have we fulfilled the rights of the Quran? Or if a bride and groom, the Quran is held above their heads and they are made to walk under it, have we fulfilled the rights of the Quran? Or when someone dies on the death of a deceased, we open the Quran and recite the Quran. What are the rights? The first of 5 rights is Iman. Iman bil Quran. What does it mean, Iman bil Quran? Well, there are 2 dimensions to Iman. One is Iqrarum bil Lisan, where you confess with your tongue and you say that yes, I believe in the Quran. And that is why when someone takes the Shahada, we tell him, say this, say it at least once in front of witnesses so that you can fall under the legal definition of a Muslim. Iqrar, to confess, to give testimony. That's one dimension of Iman. The other is tasdeequm bil qalb. Iman is a combination of both, where tasdeeq means that from the depths of your heart, there is a voice that shouts out that yes, Quran is from Allah. That is called tasdeequm bil qalb. Where every fiber in your body and every cell, every tissue, and every drop of blood flowing through your veins, they shout out that yes, Quran is from Allah, I have no doubt. That is tasdeequm bil qalb. Do we have tasdeeq bil qalb? Do we have that from the depths of our heart? Well, if we are fulfilling the other rights, which is number 2, number 3, to recite the Quran, to understand the Quran, to practice upon the Quran, to convey the Quran, then we will say that yes, he does have tasdeeq bil qalb. Otherwise, this person, he can claim that he has Iman and he does have iqrarum bil lisan, but he does not have tasdeequm bil qalb. He is confessing with his tongue, but his behavior, his lifestyle, his actions, his attitude contradict that claim that he has tasdeequm bil qalb. A student, he will achieve a degree in a certain major because he believes that this major, there's a job market for it, and once I graduate from the university, I will get a job that will pay me good money. If he believes that another major, and this major does not serve that purpose, another major will guarantee him that job in the job market, he will switch his major. What will he do? Why will he switch his major, change his major? Because his tasdeequm bil qalb has changed, his belief has changed. He no longer has belief in this first major. So a person acts according to his belief. And the second right of the Quran is al-mudawamatu bit-tilawa, that we recite the Quran, yes, with its correct pronunciation, as it was revealed to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is to articulate the letters. There are differences, ha and big ha, qaf and kaf, they're not the same letters, different pronunciation. And then this pronunciation, reciting the Quran, we have to recite it in prayer. That is the most rewarding. When a person is reciting in salat, when he is conversing at night with Allah Azza wa Jal in the middle of the night, in the wee hours of the morning, Quran says, Inna Quran al-Fajri kana mashhuda. The recitation of the Quran in the morning is witnessed by angels. The best time for reciting the Quran, the best position, the best is when you are in salat and you are reciting Quran. Not fast-paced on autopilot like we do for Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha. But you pace yourself, you take your time, and you have that conversation with Allah through the Quran. And the second most rewarding is when you listen to the Quran in prayer, like we do in Salatul Taraweeh. First is when you yourself recite the Quran in prayer. Second is when you listen to the Quran in prayer. Third position goes to reciting the Quran outside of prayer. You yourself recite the Quran, but you are not in prayer. And the fourth is to listen to the Quran when you are not in prayer, outside of prayer. If a person cannot recite the Quran, then he should at least open the Quran and say, Hada kalamu Rabbi, face the Qibla, make wudu, open the Quran and say, Hada kalamu Rabbi, Hada kalamu Rabbi. This is the speech of my Lord, this is the speech of my Lord, this is the speech of my Lord. This will also bring him ajr and spiritual benefit, inshallah. There was a time during Sahaba era where it was a practice, it was normal for a person to recite one part of the Quran. Out of 7 parts, he would recite one every day of the week, one manzil it was called. And then they would complete the recitation of the Quran in 1 week. And they did not have juz during the time of the Sahaba. Later on, Ummah became weak, and the majority of them were not reciting one Quran a week. Then came about the juz, where Quran was divided into 30 equal parts. Why 30? Why not 25? Why not 35? So a person can recite one part every day of the month and finish the recitation of the Quran in 1 month. Yes, the mere recitation has its reward. The person who has difficulty reciting, reading the Quran, وَالَّذِي يَتَطَأْطَأُ, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam has said, he will get double the reward because he's struggling. And the third right of the Quran is that a person should understand the Quran. What is the Quran saying? Allah has stated in Surah Al-Qamar 4 times, وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ, that we have made the Quran easy for admonishment. Is there anyone who will take advice? Is there anyone who will seek this advice, this admonishment? Allah has made the Quran easy. What does it mean? Yes, it would be ideal to learn Arabic language. We have learned the language of others, have we not? To such an extent that we have become there, to such an extent that now they have become professors of the English language at Oxford University. If you can learn the language of others and become their teachers in that language, then what excuse do you have for not learning Arabic? But of course, it depends where you are in life, what age you are, what facilities you have, what is your intellectual ability. Many different factors come into play. But the least we can do, there's two levels of understanding. The third right of the Quran. This tadakkur, where you come across some general words and themes of the Quran. For example, where Quran says, "La taqnatu min rahmatillah." Do not lose hope in the mercy of Allah. Inna Allaha ghafurur rahim. Allah is most forgiving, most merciful. When we come across this ayah, we can get an understanding of this ayah. By understanding, I don't mean the tafsir. What does tafsir Qurtubi say? And what does Allama Zamakhshari say regarding your soul comes into sync, into harmony with these words and with these verses. And it hits you. It hits you and it tingles the emotional chords of your heart. And you say, yes, yes, indeed my Lord is Ghafurur Rahim. That is what I mean by understanding. And then of course there's a deeper level of understanding. That is where I give the example that you have something on the surface of the water. You can pick that up quite easily. That's the basic understanding. But if you want to get the oysters, the pearls that are hidden in the oysters at the bottom of the sea, on the seabed, then you need to be a diver. And you need to, what do they call it? Deep dive. Deep into the sea. And pick up those oysters and pearls and gems and bring them up to the surface. That is also an understanding of the Quran. So the third right is to understand the Quran. And the fourth is to practice upon the Quran. What is the point of reciting and understanding if we are not practicing upon the Quran? Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam has said, "Ma amana bil Quran man istahalla maharimahu." The person who makes halal what the Quran has made haram, who takes as halal what the Quran has made haram, he has not believed in the Quran. Similar to the first point. What was my first? Tasdeequm bil, that your behavior is not in accordance with the Quran. So do you actually believe in the Quran? If I say that fire burns, let me put it the other way. If I say fire, if I believe that fire does not burn, then I will put my hand into it. If I believe that fire burns, am I going to put my hand into it? If I believe that fire burns, will I put my hand into the fire? If a person believes in the Quran, then how come his practice is not according to the Quran? Because a person's practice is according to his belief. That means you are not true in your belief. You are lying when you say you believe in the Quran. It is a false statement. It is not true. Because our actions are not according to the who. What Quran has made haram, if you take that as halal, you have not believed in the Quran. Regarding Bani Israel, Allah stated, أَفَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِبَعْضِ الْكِتَابِ وَتَكْفُرُونَ بِبَعْضِ. Do you believe in parts of the Kitab, Tawrat, and do you do kufr, reject other parts of the Tawrat? What does that mean? It's like saying we believe in Surah Baqarah, but we do not believe in Surah Yasin. That does not make sense, does it? The other parts of the Torah. Yes, cherry picking. We practice some of the Quran and we choose not to practice other parts. And Allah has said again to Ahl Kitab, Ya Ahl al-Kitab, lastum ala shay hatta tuqimut Tawrat wal Injil. O Ahl Kitab, you lastum ala shay, you have no standing in front of Allah. You dare not speak. You have no place, no rank, nothing in the sight of Allah till you establish Tawrat and Injil. We can change the word, interchange, and say, Ya Ahl al-Quran, lastum ala shay hatta tuqimul Quran. O people of Quran, as if Allah is saying, O people of Quran, you have no standing in front of Allah until you establish the Quran. Yes, a reason why Allah mentioned the evil habits and the bad habits of the people of Bani Israel is so that we do not become like them. And truth be told, almost every evil habit that was found in Bani Israel is found in the Muslim Ummah today. Almost every evil habit. This is without any exaggeration and without any fear of contradiction, I make this claim. Not every, we don't go kill prophets. They used to also kill prophets. But almost every evil habit that was found in Bani Israel is found in this ummah today. And I can recite ayah after ayah after ayah, and you will have no choice but to nod your head and say, yes, 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 that is found in the Muslim ummah today. Tabi'een, they came, those who were born after Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam left this world, did not see Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Imagine if they were born a few weeks or a few days after. They accepted Islam a few days, a few weeks after Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam has left this world. Lost their chance to become a Sahabi. If you miss your train by 10 minutes, you don't mind. I missed it by 10 minutes, I couldn't have caught it. But if you miss the train by 1 minute, just as the train is leaving, you get to the tracks. You're like, oh, if I was here 1 minute earlier, I could have caught the train. So these tabi'een who had this regret, oh, we missed the train. They came to Aisha radiallahu anha and they asked her, oh mother of the believers, how was the akhlaq, how was the seerah of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam? And she replied, Alastum taqra'un al-Quran? Don't you recite the Quran? They said, yes, we recite the Quran, but we're not asking about the Quran, we're asking about the seerah of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. She said, Kana khuluquhu al-Quran. That his akhlaq, his seerah was the Quran. He was a walking Quran. His lifestyle was an embodiment of the Quran. So to practice upon the Quran. And then there's two levels of practice. One is practice at an individual level. وَلَا يَغْتَبْ بَعْضُكُمْ بَعْضًا. Do not backbite one another. Yes or no? An ayah of the Quran. This is at an individual level. But then there are verses of the Quran that are directed at the whole community, at a communal level, societal level. That we are to establish a society based on Quranic principles of justice and fairness and equality. Our political system, our social system, our economic system should not be based upon the West. It should be based upon Quranic principles. After the Muslim countries broke away from the chains of colonialism, won their independence, they either went towards the East, came under the influence of the Soviet Union, or they came under the influence of the West and came into this circle. Not one said we are neither going to follow the East nor are we going to follow the West. We are going to follow Islam. Is there any one country that said we are not going to follow the Soviet Union, nor are we going to follow the US, we are going to follow Islam? at an individual level, at a communal level. Look at our state. The head of state, I won't name the country, but when the king of that country travels, well, I can name it. The king of Saudi, 2 golden escalators. Not one, but how many? 2 golden escalators. In his private Boeing 747, when he lands at a country that he's visiting, the escalator will bring him down from the plane onto the tarmac. Why 2 golden escalators? If one is malfunctioning, the other one can step in. This is the state of the ummah. That is why Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Quran said, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam will say on the day of judgment, وَقَالَ الرَّسُولُ, and this is the one complaint Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam will lodge against this ummah. وَقَالَ الرَّسُولُ يَا رَبِّ إِنَّ قَوْمِ اتَّخَذُوا هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ مَهْجُورًا. Oh Allah, my ummah has abandoned the Quran. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam will lodge this complaint against this ummah in front of Allah Azza wa Jal. What have we done with the Quran? What have we done with the Quran? And the 5th is to convey the Quran to others. Because Quran is not just for the Muslim ummah. The Quran is for the whole entire mankind, humanity at large. I remember the speech that George W. Bush Jr. gave on the eve of Gulf War II when bombs started dropping on Iraq. I remember that very clearly. And he gave a speech in which one sentence I remember, one sentence. He said, because we all know what a farce that war was. He said, democracy is not America's gift to the world, it is God's gift to the world. If you were to change that word, democracy, Quran is not God's gift to the Muslim ummah. Quran is God's gift to the world. What? Because one of the reasons why that war was fought or that invasion occurred is because we are spreading democracy. What people do for their false beliefs and false ideologies, and we who have the truth, what do? If the people of haqq, the people of truth, ahlul haqq, do not stand up, then batil and falsehood will fill that void. Because falsehood and batil, it doesn't have any feet to stand on. It only comes when there is no haqq. When the people of haqq, the people of truth are not there, then who fills that vacuum? Batil, falsehood. But the moment haqq, truth comes, وَقُلْ جَاءَ الْحَقُّ وَزَهَقَ الْبَاطِلُ. When the people of haqq, when the people of truth comes, falsehood vanishes. It's like switching on the light, darkness disappears. You don't have to do anything specific to chase away falsehood. Falsehood itself, إِنَّ الْبَاطِلَ كَانَ زَهُوقًا. Batil was meant to go away. Batil was never meant to stay. Falsehood was never meant to stay. But it depends on the people of haqq. So these are the 5 rights of the Quran. Not that we write the Quran with thread of gold, nor that a bride and a groom walk under the Quran, nor that we recite the Quran when someone dies, but to recite the Quran, to understand the Quran, to practice upon the Quran, and to convey the Quran. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ. Please pray your sunnah.